What's up, guys? Welcome to Useless League of Legends Information, episode 33. Let's go. Okay, this is kind of crazy. So back in season 1 of League of Legends, Riot said they were going to nerf Vladimir in the next patch, which is pretty standard. They put it in the patch notes, and after the patch rolled out, all of the Vladimir players started complaining that he was unplayable now, and the entire rest of the community was happy because they said they could finally play against him. Even his win rate went down and his pick rate dropped too. So far, sounds pretty normal, right? Except the only thing was Riot actually forgot to roll out these nerfs. So that entire time, the entire League of Legends community got smacked with the placebo effect. I mean, the fact it actually dropped his win rate is pretty crazy. Now it just makes me wonder how many times this has happened before since then. Either way, it's pretty funny.
We literally forgot to put the nerfs into the game. They didn't get checked in, but they were still in the patch notes. And so everybody thought that Vladimir was nerfed. And his win rate literally went down, and people literally thought he was weaker, and people literally thought he was like bad and felt bad. It was a placebo nerf.
Yo, really quick, if you're looking for a new game to play, you need to check out Honkai Star Rail, the sponsor for today's video. Honkai is a multi-platform space fantasy RPG from Hoyoverse that already has over 80 million downloads within the first 6 months. And recently, it's also been awarded as the iPhone Game of the Year, as well as Google Play's Best Game for 2023. I swear it might just be me, but I'm a sucker for this type of art style, and it works so well with RPGs. The gameplay is great too, because it has a new turn-based system, which is really easy to learn at first, but at the same time, it also challenges you as you go on unless you try a bunch of strategies and combos. Plus, outside of the gameplay, it also has a great storyline, which really helps bring everything together. Honkai is also free to play and allows data to be synced across multiple platforms like PC, mobile, and PS5, making it the perfect chill game to play anywhere. It has a rich semi-open world experience with a ton of different characters you can play, and right now with the new 1.5 update that's out now, they're even releasing 2 new 5-star characters, Ho-Ho and Argentee. Ho-Ho is a timid wind-type support champion that can restore allies' health and provide attacks and energy buffs for her teammates, and Argentee is your classic chivalrous knight-type character that does physical damage and has exceptional AoE attacks with his spear and abilities. So seriously, don't wait and go download Honkai now with my link in the description, and if you use my promo code, you'll also receive 50 Stellar Jades. Thanks Honkai for supporting the channel, and now back to the video. Did you know that League of Legends was originally going to be pay to win? One of the earliest pitches, for example, was for people to be able to purchase a Frost version of Annie who had a slower attack rate but did more damage.
We're in this meeting and we're talking about Annie, how she's all built with fire, and we're talking about Blue Annie, and she would use Frost. Maybe Frost Annie would have like a slower attack rate but a little bit more damage rate, and we'd sell that.
Luckily, this Giga Chad dude, Steve Feek, said he didn't have a good feeling about it during a meeting, so they ended up scrapping the entire idea and ultimately turned the game free to play, which I think was the best decision they've ever made because so many people would never have tried League if you had to pay, including me. I was a broke college student. What can I say? So a few weeks ago during Worlds, Faker actually got banned for 14 days because of a power outage that took place in Busan. He of course ended up going AFK because of it, and then a Brazilian streamer reported him for leaving the game. Riot of course immediately unbanned him, but after being banned, Faker even wrote Riot an apology letter saying, "I'm sorry, I won't leave the game again." This dude is too respectful sometimes. Could you imagine if this happened to someone like Tyler1? All I'm saying is Riot system probably shouldn't be banning the dude that is carrying their entire company. Just a thought. Did you know that Jinx's grenades were originally going to have an ability to light the brush on fire when it hit? Not only would the brush catch on fire, but everyone in the brush would also start burning as well. Surprisingly, the main reason this idea was scrapped was because they didn't have a great way to animate burning brushes back then. After all, it was 2013. Still, on top of all that, they also didn't really have a good way to determine what was brush on the map and what wasn't in the coding. So the original idea was to literally throw a grid of Teemos across the entire map to help check what was brush and what wasn't.
So, naturally, I just made an invisible grid of Teemos that spanned the entire map. Then, when Jinx threw her grenades, I would check for any nearby Teemos.
In other words, we were this close to being surrounded by an army of invisible Teemos at all time. Also, this explains a lot about Riot spaghetti code. The voice actor for the new champion Hui is Stephen Fu, and if his voice sounds familiar at all, it's probably because he's also the voice of the dubbed Song Woo from Squid Games.
No justice, no revenge, only clarity.
Anyways, here's some more facts about the new champion Hui. Hui is confirmed to be 5'10 while standing fully, and apparently 5'8 to 5'9 when slouching. Why there's an official slouching height, I don't know, but I don't ask questions. Age-wise, he's in his early 30s, and lastly, Hui almost had an ability where he drew a rain cloud over himself that made him even more depressed and granted him stealth.
That he would summon a really depressed rain cloud, and the rain cloud would stealth him. like if you've kind of like ever seen like old Winnie the Pooh with Eeyore and it's always raining and like a depressed rain cloud was like following him around. Like basically he could paint a rain cloud and it would start raining on him and he would get super depressed and he would like hide and that would stealth him, and then he'd run around stealthed and no one could see him, and then he'd pop out and be like, haha, it's me, I'm sad, and then you'd be sad because you'd be dead.
Speaking of Hui, the voice lines work for him is actually pretty unique. In the lore, he struggles a lot between dark and light, so Riot wanted to show that with his voices as well. So while you're playing him, his voice lines can take two different routes. Light route and a dark route, both having completely different voice lines. For example, the light version of him upgrading to Zalt is,
My light grows brighter.
while the dark version is,
That darkness takes shape.
On top of that, when Jin is in the game as well as an ally or enemy, there is a 33.3% chance that Hui will say an altered version of one of his voice lines tailored towards Jin. Like this, for example.
My light grows brighter. Don't look away, Jin.
And in case you weren't aware, this was because Hui and Jen have a history in the lore. Long story short, the two ran into each other at Kohyun Temple, basically Hui's home, and they're both like, hey, we're both creative and artsy dudes, that's pretty neat, so they respected each other because of that. However, later Jin was like, wait, never mind, you're kind of fake. So Jin challenged Hui to an art off, Hui went ham in it, and Jin was like, cool story, and then dipped right after. Then Jin killed everyone in the temple and destroyed the temple itself. So yeah, that's pretty much their relationship. This is easily one of the biggest brain bard plays I think I've ever seen. So basically Lilia is doing Lilia things, running all over the place, and right as she ults, Bard ults the minions so the turret instantly aggroes onto Lilia when she runs under. I gotta say, that's some pretty fast thinking. Well played, sir. Did you know that way back in the day, there was actually a time you could hit negative 100 LP in Bronze 5? And keep in mind, back then, Bronze 5 was the lowest rank possible, so this was next level bad. On top of that, before LP caps were added in, people could go as negative as they wanted, meaning some people were literally negative 1005 like this guy. The thing is, you couldn't actually reach this from losing the games, it was only possible from dodging, so this guy ended up dodging like 300 plus games to get this incredible milestone worth. Okay, this is random, but did you know that after FPX won Worlds in 2019 versus G2, Going B decided to get a Malphite World skin for the sole reason that it was one of the only champions his wife knew how to play. This dude won Worlds and got a custom World skin for his wife. Now that is commitment, if anything. Also, apparently this guy is the League of Legends Rizzler when it comes to first impressions. Two things I never thought I'd use in the same sentence.
你还记不记得加微信之后的第一句话？加微信之后第一句话就是玩不玩？我说游戏啊，我说不是玩不玩的意思是游戏，玩不玩。
In case you didn't know, Riot actually made it so you can finally multi-disenchant things. You can do this with skins, champion shards, ward skins, pretty much everything but chests. It's actually pretty nice. By the time this video is out, the Essence Emporium will be out and it'll be going until December 27th at 1 p.m. But what a lot of people don't know is that there is a blue Essence banner now selling for 250,000 blue Essence. 100,000 more than the Earthwick skin. You know, in case you just got that lying around somewhere. Have you ever wondered what the age distribution looked like for a professional League of Legends player? Well, here you go. Here's a graph showing every active pro player from the youngest to oldest. Youngest player is Shiwu from D+ Academy, who just turned 16, and the oldest player is Godtone from Hellpigs, who is 35 years old. That's pretty crazy that the oldest player is 2 times older than the youngest player. Here's an actual useless one. If you're struggling to spend your RP fast enough, like, you know, most of us do, then just head over to the treasure tokens, because in there you can spend up to 97,500 RP at once. That equates to 750 USD. I'm really more or less curious if anyone has actually used this to purchase the max amount. At least one person has to have done it, right? A couple of episodes ago, I showed a photo of someone who spent over $14,000 on League of Legends, and I asked you guys to let me know if any of you have spent more, and it turns out at least 3 of you have. Starting off, we have Shadow Hoots, who have spent 28,838 AUD, or the equivalent of almost 19,000 USD. He said he's been playing since Season 9, which really isn't that long ago. Second is Andrew H, who had this account where he spent 5K, but it got banned, and then he made a new account and spent another $15,000 collecting every skin in the game since the account's creation. So in total, over $20,000 of skins. And lastly, Michael spent at least $17,000, which he estimates to be closer to $23,000 now, since this photo was taken a year ago, and since then he's bought more. I mean, that is a lot of skins. Overall, that is some pretty impressive commitment all around. Hey, only a few of you guys watching are subbed, so if you're enjoying, please consider hitting that red button and helping me hit 200k subs. Thanks guys, and here is a red panda. Do you remember the most famous League of Legends clip of all time?
I'm like, even though I only have a man on the floor, I think he's in the bed. Oh, Faker may be in trouble here. Deathmark tries to clean it up for Ryu. Oh, look at the cleanse, look at the moves. Faker, what was that? Faker with a huge play, the QSS. I can't believe I just saw
He
that.
actually won that duel.
I can't believe.
Well, for starters, in case you didn't know, during that play, Insec, who was playing Shen, actually had ult up for Ryu, but apparently Ryu told Insec not to ult because he was confident that he would win.
그때 류 선수도 신공 받을 수 있었잖아요.
네, 있었죠.
근데 왜 안 탔어요?
그때 인색이 알아서 잘 타줬어야 되는데 잘 안 타주더라고요.
근데 인색 선수는 류 선수가 아 이거 이겼다 이래가지고 안 탔다고 하던데.
나도 어련히 잘 탔어야죠.
그럼 누가 잘못한 거예요?
인색 잘못이네요.
Anyways, I just found out about this the other day, but they also just so happened to do another 1v1 rematch 2 years ago. They ended up playing a few times, but Faker kind of won them all. Even the 1v1 Z rematch.
아 잠깐만, 진짜.
가짜. 아 이거 너무 빨리 끝났는데요?
But then they decided to go one more time, and this happened. Ryu finally got his revenge, even if Faker might have helped him out a bit.
I'm like, even though I only have a man on the floor, I think he's in the bed. Oh, Faker may be in trouble here. Deathmark tries to clean it up for Ryu. Oh, look at the cleanse, look at the moves. Faker, what was that? Faker with a huge play, the QSS.
아 잘하시네.
Did you know that Lily's ultimate counts as a projectile? In other words, it can actually be blocked by abilities like Yasuo's wall or even Samira's W, like in this video.
Feathers fly!
I mean, it's still so unfortunate. You can just tell that Lily was so confused too. In case you didn't know, you can actually buy items after you die to help you get kills. For example, here's Twitch Bind Collector after dying, so the collector effect procs and ultimately kills Garen. It's a pretty cool little trick which will almost never come in handy, but if it does, it'll be worth it. Did you know that since the start of League of Legends, almost $100 million of prize money has been given out throughout all the tournaments? I gotta say, that alone is pretty impressive for a video game. This is also a list of all the top earning teams. And of course, T1 is sitting at the top. And just for fun too, here's a graph of the players who have won the most money at tournaments. And keep in mind, this is just tournament winnings. These players have earned way more from their salaries and sponsors over the years, like millions more for some. Did you know that after SKT beat Weibo Gaming in the finals 3-0, they actually ended with exactly 100 wins through the course of 10 years during their Worlds appearances? And speaking of Worlds, the Worlds finals this year peaked at 6,402,760 peak viewers, making it not only the most watched League of Legends event ever, but also the most watched esports event ever. SKT really is everyone's favorite team to watch. Did you know that Riot way back in 2010 at the start of League of Legends was actually planning on making another 5v5 map called Magma Chamber? The concept would have been pretty similar to Summoner's Rift, but a bit smaller and with different lanes. However, this idea eventually got turned into a 1v1 and 2v2 map where they cut everything but the center lane. And while this was supposed to be an official game mode they released, they ultimately ended up scratching it as well and launching the old game mode Dominion instead. It kind of sucks though, because the map itself looks pretty sick, especially considering these art concepts were made all the way back in 2010 as well. Now, the Magma Chamber map was actually used once during the 2013 All-Star Weekend, but now it's just kind of a forgotten piece of history. However, we did eventually get Arena, so after a decade, we finally made some progress. Thanks to Riot's new ID system, almost 9,000 Hide on Bush accounts were born. People who didn't know about it or forgot about this update must have been so confused for the first few days, especially the players that ran into Faker and Iron 4. I guess the GOAT really dropped off since his time in Worlds. In my last video, I asked you guys to send in Teemo drawings because I was running out of Teemos for thumbnails, and you guys definitely delivered. So thanks to everyone who sent in theirs. And a special shout out to With a Jack Sparrow icon for making the one currently on this thumbnail. I mean, this thing is sick. So thank you all again for anyone who sent in their Teemos, and if you'd like to send in one or have any useless information, feel free to do so at outsidejokelol@gmail.com. And lastly, you know what the most useless thing is? It's the fact that in order to get loot from these world capsules, you have to open up every single capsule just to get another capsule to open up for the loot. Like, Riot, why is this even a thing? All right, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. watching. I wish you all a happy holidays, and I will see you next time. A massive shout out to my incredible patrons and supporters. We had Koosman, Set, Ryan, Hagel, and a huge shout out to my tier 3 patrons, Stefan and Wolf. And seriously, thank you guys so much for supporting me this year. I really cannot thank you enough. Happy holidays again, and I will see you next time. Bye.